versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome everyone to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thank you so much for joining us. We're live here on WYSL, which means that you can comment online if you're listening on the Free Solution Facebook page, or Free Solution YouTube channel, or the Kevin Wilson pages. Thank you all for listening wherever you're listening today. Shout out down the line to our friends listening over at WACK out in Newark as well. Appreciate y'all being here. And today we have a guest on the show. We have Ellen Smith, who is the executive director of Keeping Our Promise Incorporated, an organization that focuses on resettling wartime allies. And Ellen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm glad to be here and to share our message.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ellen, can you tell us a little bit more about what Keeping Our Promise does and who you guys support?
We have been working since 2014 on resettling Afghan, Iraqi, and Kurdish wartime allies who served the U.S. Military and our State Department as interpreters and support personnel. And we, in the Rochester region, we have resettled 138 families who are Kurdish, Afghan, or Iraqi. Our organization will help them with get their information together for visas. Sometimes they need to find U.S. citizens that they worked with, and they may have lost contact with them. So we help make those connections so they can get their legal visa to come here and resettle in the United States if they are at risk of being killed by the Taliban or ISIL.
Okay, and so you focus on folks who've worked specifically with U.S. forces in those war zones, and so again, these are folks like interpreters, drivers, and other folks who have worked with anyone.
Yeah,
overseas?
I mean, they could be cleaners at the base, they could be in food service, but the fact is, because they worked for the United States, they are all at risk of being killed. Right.
So I'm sure now has been a very trying week for you, as we've seen things going on in Afghanistan, and we know that many of those folks their lives are in danger, and it's a perilous situation for many of them trying to get over here. So, but before we talk more about that, can you talk a little bit more about the process again? How do people basically get involved with the organization? How do people get permission to come over here?
So each person, each family needs to have, up until just 2 weeks ago, they needed to have at least 2 years of faithful and honorable service to the United States. They had to have a spotless employment record that includes things like being on time for work. They need letters of recommendation from U.S. citizens, and they need employment verification through an HR letter. And this has been getting tricky as we have been drawing down services and troops from the United States. Many of the contractors have, folded up shop, they've gone away, and these families are finding it difficult, if not impossible, to get the kind of HR letters that they need for employment verification. However, they do have, for instance, Army soldiers who are willing to step up to the plate and say, hey, I know this person. They were at the commissary every day. Yes, they worked for us. But that has not been enough to get them through this process. So it's a very trying process. We just resettled a family in Rochester where the father is now 76 years old, and it took them 14 years to get his visa. His wife, who is 70, is still stuck in Kabul. His son, who is now 32 and was part of the initial visa application, he was permitted in, but his wife and children were not. And these are just heartbreaking stories that we are dealing with 24 hours a day. since the announcement was made that we were withdrawing troops.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, I can't imagine, trying to get the opportunity to come here and then saying that your family can't come with you. That's that is
It's nuts.
heartbreaking. Yeah, it's so. You kind of talked about the difficulty in the barriers, and obviously like proving some of the stuff. Like what are some of the barriers? Like why on earth would it take 14 years for this process to come to fruition for this family?
We have no idea. I mean and they won't tell you. The government, and it's understandable. They'll just say it's in administrative processing. We call it the black hole. I refer to it as the Office of Circumlocution, like in Little Dorrit. No matter what you do, no matter who you see, you're told to fill out more paperwork. Call here, call there. We don't have an answer. Did you check here? It's a big circle runaround. And that's why in October 2014, I took on my first case of visa advocacy because there was a guy, an interpreter who worked out of Bagram. He had been a combat interpreter, and I think he was at his 4-year or 6-year mark of being in the black hole of administrative processing. So what we started doing was contacting soldiers that he had worked with and telling them to write letters to their member of Congress and get this case pushed because we were afraid he was going to die there. And so this is the kind of work that we've been doing. And then once they get their visa, we have partnered with an organization called Miles for Migrants, using frequent flyer miles to get them out of Afghanistan or Iraq and to Rochester. And that's been a very successful program. But starting in July, Turkish Airlines would no longer accept frequent flyer miles to get out of Kabul. And then Emirates closed the program the end of July. So, and right now, the only way to get out is through the U.S. government.
Are there no more civilian airline options in Kabul right now?
As of today, 2 days ago, they had closed the airspace to all commercial airlines. So as far as I know, now, of course, it could change today. I have no idea. I understand that there was a Danish airline that was hired by the government to fly Danish citizens out. And then because of the firing on the airfield and what was happening, the plane had to take off with no people in it. So these are the kinds of things that we're hearing about. We also had, I got a message at, 2:28 in the morning that one of our guys trying to get to the airport, he said that the Taliban was just controlling everything. It was a madhouse and he couldn't get in. We just were notified 30 minutes ago that he's now safe in a camp in Qatar.
Oh, well, thank God for that. So that's great that they were able to get to a safe place. But I'm sure that there are, many people that you're working with that are in situations that are less safe right now, and they're certainly going to be in our prayers for the time being, and hopefully we can find a way to get them out. I mean, right now I know that the at least as I understand, the Biden administration is trying to encourage people to get to safe third countries. Is that a viable and realistic option for folks?
Okay, it is not a viable and realistic option. All the borders are closed, and the Taliban controls every airport in the provinces. And how are you going to get a visa to go to another country? Everything is shut down. It's a ridiculous thing to tell people, try to get out. And that's what I've been talking to people. We have families in Kunduz, in Kandahar, in Herat, in Marza Sharif. It's impossible to get out of these cities at this point. It's absolutely impossible. And it's been impossible for about the last 2 weeks. You can't easily get to Kabul. It's not like going from Corning, up to Rochester Airport. It's you just can't get there.
Yeah,
there's a few roads in, and they're controlled by the Taliban.
Yeah, not as easy as just hopping in your car and taking a trip when you have Taliban checkpoints all along the way who want to stop you from getting out.
And who will find your documents? You know, you've got to bring your documents, and if they see that, you know, that you're traveling to the U.S. or you've got your paperwork, of course you're going to be killed. And I just want to say, like, some of our families are just sharing heart-wrenching videos. We just had one of our families here in Rochester, his brother qualifies for a visa. He has submitted his paperwork. He has been waiting, and the Taliban went into their house. It was 3 or 4 days ago. The family got out safely, but the house was destroyed. Everything is burned inside. You see that just everything is smashed. They've been left with nothing. And the video is the family and the 2 children just kind of walking around this burnt out shell. And this little girl who looks like she's about 5 years old, she kind of smiles a little bit because, you know, kids are always told smile for the camera.
Yeah.
But it's just this devastation that is hard to grasp. And then another one of our SIVs here in Rochester, an SIV is a special immigrant visa holder. That's the type of visa that our wartime allies get. But he was telling me that the Taliban went into their home in Kunduz, ordered the family out except for the father. They've taken over the house. The wife and children had nowhere to go, and they have no idea if the father is a prisoner or dead.
Wow. Well, again, folks, we're joined by Ellen Smith from Keeping Our Promise Incorporated, talking about getting our wartime allies into a safe place. We're going to be back with more on Free Solution in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
The Finger Lakes Castle team is in its 7th decade of factory direct service to the service professional. From cleaning the ins and outs of your vehicle to keeping you on the road, Castle's got you covered. Castle makes streak-proof glass cleaner, FDA-registered sanitizers, and EPA-registered hospital-grade disinfectants. Remember, when you need to keep it clean, use what the pros use. Castle. Accept no substitutes.
Castle keeps it clean.
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm joined today by Ellen Smith, who is the executive director of Keeping Our Promise Incorporated. And in case you missed the last segment, we're talking about what this organization does. They help get our wartime allies over safely into the United States, helps them get through the bureaucracy of our government to be able to get over safely, after helping us in Iraq and in Afghanistan. And again, we talked about like the Biden administration briefly, but it's not just them. This is something that's been going on for a while. This is a long-term issue, and with getting folks over. And again, how do we advocate for folks who are in this situation, who are trying to get through and trying to get to a safe place? Like what can we do to support getting folks into safety?
I think what's really important right now is to contact your representative in Congress. In our area of New York, it's Jill Morelli and Chris Jacobs, and tell them that you support bringing our wartime allies over. Our biggest problem right now is that the process was slowed down to a turtle's crawl, and there was lack of staff. There was a lawsuit brought against our government by the International Refugee Assistance Project, and while more staff has been hired, we still have cases. I've got guys I'm trying to help get over here who filed in 2017. So there are cases where we have all the paperwork and we don't see evidence of fraud, and you can tell when there's fraud on these cases. Like birth dates don't match, the language in a letter of support may not be in the American vernacular. There might be clear spelling mistakes that would indicate it's not a legitimate letter, and then you can get a hold of the person who wrote the letter in support, just to verify that they in fact still support this Afghan coming over to the United States. So, I mean, we've been able to do this on a very small scale to bring people here to Rochester. And we're a private, very small, not-for-profit organization, but, our cases have been successful. The key, though, is to call your members of Congress and demand that we get people out. And if they have not yet been approved, if they've not gone through their interviews at the embassy, which clearly are going to be impossible now, Guam has offered to take something like 100,000 people. They can go to other countries and be evacuated and processed before they come to American soil. And that's an option. And it's a realistic option. But the key is just get them out.
Right. And I understand that there's a military base in Virginia that's also taking folks too.
Yeah. So right now that base is being used for those who have just been granted their visas, and for those where it looks like their visa would definitely go through. So everything's been confirmed. There's no hang up. And so those folks go to Fort Lee. But those where, maybe they've got 4 letters of recommendation and they can't get a hold of one person, and I'm just saying this hypothetically because we don't really know, but those people can go to a third country. And the other thing that the people that we need to help is, which the policy has just changed within the last 2 weeks. If someone worked as a contractor, they could not get a visa, yet they are just as at risk. So if they were a contractor or contractor of a contractor for, say, USAID, they couldn't get in on a special immigrant visa. Well, now they can get in on what's called a priority 2 visa. And so we are just putting that out there to help these families on how they might be able to get here, but they are going to have to go to another country before they come to the United States. And then there is the issue of offering these families humanitarian parole. Our organization is of the belief that for our families in the Rochester area, we know them, and we know that their family members were attorneys, they were judges, they were teachers in Afghanistan. A lot of them held professional positions. They are not going to survive the Taliban, and we are begging for a much simpler humanitarian parole program where those families can come over here. So, for instance, I have a family where the sister is a judge. She is not going to survive. She is a woman. She was a judge. The Taliban, they're not going to let her survive in Afghanistan. We would like the option of being able to recommend this family for humanitarian parole, and if they need a sponsor, we will look for a U.S. citizen sponsor, because her brother is not yet a citizen. He has not been here for 5 years. But we have information on all of these families to assure that they are the people that we want in the United States.
And again, you know, how does that process, being like a citizen sponsor and everything, like, so someone needs to say that they will like support someone coming over here, vouch for them, like, well, what does that look like?
Yeah,
and how long does that take?
Right, humanitarian parole is typically taken a year, so we don't have a year. Like, everyone knows we don't have a year. So it's my understanding the Biden administration is in fact trying to streamline the humanitarian parole process. As far as sponsorship, you have to be a sponsor, you have to earn 125% above the poverty level. So it's not a lot of money, but the government will look at your entire family structure. So if you are a couple and you say, well, I want to sponsor a family of 3, then you need to be above the poverty, 125% above the poverty level for a family of 5. So it's the couple sponsor and like a family of 3. Again, this is how the rules are now, and I suspect by the end of this week, those rules are going to change for our Afghan families. The other thing that I would just like your listeners to understand is who these people are. They have grown up in war their entire lives. Many of these families, their older parents, they may have supported the Soviet Union when the Soviet Union went in, and it was at that time that women could be educated and become teachers and doctors and nurses and professionals. And then there was the Civil War and the Taliban took over, and so women's rights were shut down yet again. These families have been fighting their own 9/11 almost every single day of their lives. And I would like people to remember who was responsible for 9/11. It was 17 Saudis, 1 Egyptian, and 1 man from the UAE who managed to hold this entire country hostage. So just think of what the Taliban can do when they go into a small city or a village. And I just want people, I'm begging people to put that into perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine many of these folks, they've been, and it, like, there's this kind of ugly narrative, like, oh, why aren't they fighting for their country? Many of them have been fighting for their country for a very, very long time, and they want to keep their families safe, just like you and I do.
Right, and I have a friend who was in the military, and then she went to work for a contractor as a helicopter mechanic, and she is the first one to tell you when they pulled out just last month, the Afghan guys did not know how to work on helicopters. Like, all the work was always done by a U.S. contractor. Like, they weren't trained. And then you see photographs of them trying to fix their planes or the helicopters using Zoom. Like, it's crazy.
Wow. All right. So thanks again. We're joined by Ellen Smith, who is the executive director of Keeping Our Promise. And we're going to be back with more here on A Free Solution. Thanks for joining us today. Talk to you in a few.
Fly the flag, stand for freedom. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Areas of rain and local heavy or thundery downpours will be clearing up. Could be some fog developing, temps in the 60s. The flooding threat will diminish overnight as that rain moves on out. For Thursday morning, clouds, fog, showers will clear for some partial sun in the afternoon. Temperatures near 80, should be in the 80s on Friday. Sun and clouds, just a slight shower threat to end the week. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
At Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Anthony Drive off Route 96 in Victor, summer savings and selection are better than ever for you. Like the 21 Jeep Gladiator Crew Cab Sport 4x4 pickup, $369 a month for 42 months. A 21 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited 4x4 is just $279 a month for 36 months. Requires existing Grand Cherokee Stellantis lease and be returning lessee. The 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude 4x4 is only $179 a month for 36 months. Must have Stellantis loyalty and be returning lessee. The 21 Ram 1500 Classic Warlock Quad Cab 4x4 pickup is just $179 a month for 36 months. Must have Stellantis loyalty and be returning lessee. Use 3 Ram coupons while supply lasts. Jeep, America's iconic four-wheel drive brand. $2,500 cash or trade and other conditions apply. Get full details from the dealer. Equipment and MSRP vary by model. We're here to fully serve Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and throughout the Metro and Finger Lakes. Get out of the house and get that new ride you've been wanting. Victor, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 6560 Anthony Drive in Victor.
Enjoy summertime more with quality Amish-made lawn furniture from Springwater Amish Workshop. They've got a new shipment of pressure-treated yellow pine gliders, plus folding Adirondack chairs, windmills, and more. There's also a great selection of polyvinyl balcony settees, gliders, and folding Adirondacks. Look for Springwater Amish Workshop at the Dansville Balloon Festival, September 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And their Balloon Festival special, get $100 off any building or gazebo larger than 100 square feet, or get a free ramp. Ask about the rent-to-own option for storage sheds and gazebos. Springwater Amish Workshop, 7936 Route 15 in Springwater, open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit SpringwaterAmishWorkshop.com or visit them on Facebook. Call 585-669-9710.
See if a career at Mary Cariola Center is right for you by answering these simple questions. Are you compassionate? Do you enjoy participating in success? Like to work school hours? Do you want to be aligned with one of the best organizations in the community? If you said yes to any of these questions, you may have a future at Mary Cariola Center. Since 1949, the Mary Cariola Center has served children, youth, and young adults with developmental disabilities and complex medical needs in the Rochester region. Visit marycariola.org and click on employment.
What's the most critical component of every business? It's people. Today's challenging environment demands that you find the right candidate to grow and succeed. Good thing you can put Wellington Steel and Associates on your team to recruit the best talent for project management, software development, finance, sales, and cybersecurity. Their talented recruiters only find top-tier candidates to fit your company's unique needs. And if you're seeking a position, WellingtonSteelandAssociates.com can help you succeed. Wellington Steel and Associates, delivering the talent your business needs.
Yes, it's Turnbull tune-up time for your air conditioning system. Whether you have an attic system, a ductless wall mount system, or even a conventional central air conditioning unit attached to your furnace, call Turnbull today to schedule your appointment to save energy and money. If you need a new system, Turnbull can provide a free estimate to meet your comfort needs and budget. Call Turnbull today, 343-2005.
You'll be comfortable with the best. Turnbull Heating and Air.
In Avon and Livingston County, call 226-6180.
My name is Shannon Avery. and I'm a team member at Tom Wall's Airline. I'll take the extra time to hand bread the haddock fillet on your haddock dinner and serve it with just made coleslaw. Will you join us with your family?
Tom Walls.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today. Thanks again for joining us. We're live here on WYSL. Can't take your calls today because we got someone on the line, but you can leave your comments if you're listening to the online version of the show, A Free Solution, the Facebook page, A Free Solution, the YouTube channel, or the Kevin Wilson pages, wherever you are. Leave your comments, and if they're good, we'll read them on air. Shout down the line to our friends over at WACK out in New York, and of course, our podcast listeners too. Thanks again for joining us. And we're again joined by Ellen Smith, who is the executive director of Keeping Our Promise, talking about getting our wartime allies out of Afghanistan. That's the big focus today, but also they work with folks who worked in Iraq too. And before we continue the conversation, I want to make sure I get to one of the online comments who says from Nick. Is it Nicholas, who says, to me, this is deja vu. I lived through the fall of Saigon in 1975 and saw the desperation of folks trying to get out back then. The bureaucrat nightmare was just as bad as it is now. And Nick, yeah, I wish the American government kind of learned its lesson of the many mistakes that happened there. I mean, Ellen, I don't know if you've studied that, and is there any lessons that we've learned? Is it different now than then, or are we just repeating history here?
Actually, Saigon, the fall of Saigon went far better than this is going now. We were able to evacuate something like 125,000 people in the fall of Saigon. We're not doing that here.
So we've done worse in
Correct.
This. Yeah.
And can I just say, like, the phone calls that I get from veterans, it's just heartbreaking. They're calling me, they're begging me for help for their interpreters. They've contacted their members of Congress. They don't know what to do. And I just, I say, here's a humanitarian parole application. We understand that they've filed for their special immigrant visa, but let's go for this humanitarian parole. So I just, this is also causing, not only is it heartbreaking for our SIV families here in the Rochester region, but for those soldiers who had an interpreter that they loved or that was their buddy. And yeah, they might have lost track of them, but there was still a connection. And so this is hard on everyone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine how difficult it'd be serving over there and relying on some of these folks for so long and not being able to help them out. It's making a rough situation even worse, especially in the last few weeks. And again, hopefully there's more things that we could do. Again, if you could remind our listeners, like anything that they can do to support this, your efforts to get folks out, because I want to make sure that for the folks who are only catching part of the show that they hear that.
Yeah, people can go to our website, which is keepingourpromise.org. The donations that we are collecting will help pay rent assistance, food, a phone for every family. And eventually we do help them get their driver's license, and we get them a very modest vehicle. We rely on vehicle donations, and, generally if we have to buy a car, we're looking at like $3,000 cars. We're not buying, hot rods for these guys. We just need to get them a vehicle that will get them to work. So those are the kind of things that we do rely on. And also, furniture donations. We have, we're limited right now in our donation space, and just because we're not picking up a lot of stuff right now, we're working on evacuations. So the donation pickups are probably going to start again in mid-September as we work our way through this.
All right. So right now your big focus is, how can we get people out as quickly as possible? And, again, just jumping back to this, because this is a little bit political, so I won't ask you too much of a political opinion. I know you're focused on helping folks, but I just want to comment that, like, we talked about this Monday, but I think the Biden administration was right to end the war in Afghanistan. That's where I'm at. But the way they did it is the problem, right? Is, again, we talked before the break about, again, you said that folks are trying to, figure out how to fix their helicopters over Zoom. And I know people are frustrated and they say, why didn't they fight? How did this collapse happen so quickly? But again, if you're not prepared, if you're not set up with the resources to be able to do this, what do you do? And again, it's complicated.
Right. There was a story on the news where I think it was a battle outside of Kunduz, and the U.S. did a drop of ammunition. So you've got to rely on planes and helicopters for supplies. There's no choice. So those have got to be operating because the Taliban was controlling all the roads. Well, when they dropped off the ammunition, did the ammunition drop? It was the wrong ammunition. It's just things like that where, as a soldier, I'm not going to criticize Afghan soldiers for bailing. If you can't get bullets and supplies, how are you supposed to fight?
Yeah.
How are you going to fight? But here's the deal. So President Trump negotiated with the Taliban for a May 1st withdrawal. And then that was what Biden was obligated to do. Biden then stepped in to assure the Taliban we could not get out by May 1st, but originally the date was September 11th, which was criticized. And then it was moved up to the end of August. I think what caught people by surprise was the very rapid closure of Bagram Air Force Base. Now, I think
left in the
Bagram
middle of the night,
heyday,
right?
It was like overnight. So everyone thought, okay, that would be September 11th, and then, okay, moved up to the end of August. And then all of a sudden it was July 6th, and then in fact it was closed July 4th. And left with, there were no, apparently the Afghan government was not told about this, so looters started going into Bagram to get whatever they could get. And then when people realized what was happening, the Afghan National Army was able to get in there. But I mean, it's this kind of stuff that just, it's crazy. It's who's thinking or not thinking. And I'm not there. So I'm really not sure I'm in the position to criticize, but these are the facts.
Yeah, no, and it's something that's puzzling to a bunch of us. But yeah, I can't imagine how demoralizing this. But suddenly we thought we had this massive resource, which could have been a resource to get people out too, and then suddenly that's just disappears overnight without much notice. So yeah, again, it's I know why people want to end the war, but we have all these obligations to folks who were expecting a lifeline on the way out,
right.
and to
Right.
leave these people hanging is morally abhorrent. It's
Right.
ugly.
And again, I want people to realize that, first of all, a lot of people say, "Oh, Afghanistan, the country of graves," or something like that.
A graveyard of empires. Yeah.
Right, there you go, graveyard of empires. Thank you. And then other things people say as well. They've always been like that, and why did you think they could change? But if you go back to the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and you look at photographs up until about 1972, that country was actually on its way to being a fairly progressive country. Men and women were educated together. You see women, Afghan women, in the streets of Kabul in miniskirts and high heels. They're studying at Kabul University together, right? I've talked to Peace Corps workers who were there in the 1960s and tell me about, riding their motorcycles all around the country and the hospitality of the Afghan people. We were working on education and some agricultural projects, and the Soviets equally were building roads and bridges throughout the country. So it was a country on the way to progressive ideals, or what we call progressive ideals. And then it was in the early 1970s where the brother or a cousin of the ruler came in, and there was a coup because they thought that the country was becoming too westernized. And then the country went into a civil war, and we saw what happened after that. And then you got control of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan.
Right. I mean, decades of war and repression, and they'll they'll destroy, the prospects for a country like this. And again, you hope to do well, to help folks. And I know that's what many people over there, we're hoping to do. Again, I'm critical of the war itself, but I know that people are trying to help. And again, the people fighting for their country, again, deserve a shot to be able to do to build a life for themselves.
The people that I have met through our program are such a strong believer of American ideals. They're not jaundiced like some of us who have grown up here going, oh my gosh, what's happening to our country or whatever, right? They are a firm believer in American ideals. And when they come into that airport and they see our American flags, the last guy that came in, he was like, I love this country. I love this flag. It really is a symbol of freedom to them. And that is what they were hoping and working towards in Afghanistan. They weren't the ones siphoning off the money from these programs. They weren't the ones with bank accounts somewhere else. And there was corruption all around. To say that there was corruption in the Afghan government, all you need to do is read what's called the Seeger reports. And this is I'm sorry, it's escaping me what it stands for, but it's like the accounting reports. The Office of Inspector General reports for Afghanistan. There was just as much corruption on the U.S. side with U.S. contractors, not keeping track of money, and it's just disappearing.
Massive. Huge problems with corruptions. And so fortunately we have to go to break, but when we come back, maybe we'll talk a little bit more about, again, how people can help and maybe some success stories about like how people were able to go over here and build a new life. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. We're talking with Ellen Smith from Keeping Our Promise. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, He is my refuge and my fortress, for He will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
a free solution.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host today. Again, we're live here on WYSL. You can leave your comments online. We're on A Free Solution Facebook page, A Free Solution the YouTube channel, and the Kevin Wilson pages, and later on over at WACK out in Newark. Appreciate y'all being here. We're joined by Ellen Smith, who is the Executive Director of Keeping Our Promise Incorporated, who is they're assisting wartime allies getting it over into the United States. And Ellen, we have one more segment here. And I'm wondering, for this last segment, let's see if we can look at some positive things. How have you been successful in getting folks over the years? And let's be optimistic that we're going to be able to help a lot of other folks.
Yep. So the positive part is those who we first resettled or helped in resettlement, they're now U.S. citizens. A few of them have their own businesses now. One has his own interpretation service that is a nationwide telephone medical interpreting service that he runs out of his home. We've got 7 of our families are now homeowners in our area, and I'm very proud of them for how hard they've worked to do that. They are going to school. They are becoming certified mechanics. They are becoming electricians. They are becoming plumbers. Many of these guys were educated. A lot have master's degrees from Kabul University. They're taking those, if they have a master's degree in business, I've told them, take that skill, learn a skilled trade, and eventually you can start your own business. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they're very positive about working and wanting to work in the United States. They don't stay. They are entitled to be on social services for 6 months. If they are in training, they're allowed to extend that until they're done with their certification program. And that's generally, it takes about 9 months for them to complete everything. But then they're becoming very productive new Americans. And I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and I love hearing stories like that. Because I think, again, if you're a type of person who's putting yourself out there and putting in the work, navigating the bureaucracy, doing all this stuff to be able to get over into the United States, and then coming in with valuable skills, like that is amazing. Like we want as many of those folks in this country making our community stronger as possible. These are entrepreneurs. These are small business owners. These are the type of people who are, again, building our community in a way. And so I love hearing that. But getting over and getting established requires a bit of support.
It does. And nobody's in this alone. Like I've heard stories from other cities where families end up in homeless shelters. They end up with no help at all. And we are here to make sure that they do not fall through the cracks. And one of the ways we do it as well is every family gets a caring circle. They get American citizens willing to help them out and just negotiate, learn how to use our banking system, learn the ATM system, right? Learn how to pay bills over the internet. And those are successful things that people can do to help our families, get them to medical appointments. So there's lots of ways that people can help. And the other thing that I'd just like to say that to me is so positive, I think that many people have not met Muslims in their lives. I had not before I started doing this work. And I admit that I was hesitant, that I didn't understand. I don't know what I believed. I was just puzzled. And now I have a great appreciation that we are all human beings. The other thing is I think people are intimidated because women will still wear a head covering. But people need to understand that these were women who couldn't even leave their home. They were not permitted to leave their home if they were in these smaller villages. The Taliban would not permit it. And to see them being able to go out, learn to ride a bicycle, when I see them bicycling up Blossom Road or University Avenue to get to the food store so they can shop for their families, this is a big step for them to have this kind of freedom. And I just want people to recognize these small steps that lead to bigger things in life. And now women are learning how to drive. That was completely forbidden in Afghanistan. So there's a lot of positivity going on. And then I just see the children growing up in peace and freedom, and to see them laughing and picking dandelions and bringing you flowers. It's really awesome. And it's a positive thing.
Yeah, no, beautiful thing to see the families be able to thrive, and again to be able to know that they're in a safe place and advancing. Again, it's if imagine, as you said, living in a place where you couldn't leave your home all your life, and that's a big thing to be able to get out into the world, to have some level of independence and transportation, shopping, whatever you need to do. That's a big step, and it's a brave thing for these women to be able to get out and do that, and we shouldn't take that for granted.
And just realize too that even though they're here, and you go, oh, you're in America now. Well, that's real. That's really hard. They have to adjust, but after their first year, they're rocking and rolling. I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, to any of those families, if you ever do catch us, so again, welcome to your new home, and we're glad you made it over here safe. And hopefully, again, we're the families that you're working with now, to try to get them over here too. Again, hopefully we can do everything we can to get them over. And you'd mentioned a couple things. Supporting your organization, calling your member of Congress, is a crisis situation right now. And again, any other things that people can do to help, Ellen?
Look, we are available to probably starting the middle of September, because we've got to get over this hump. I am happy to come to local Rotaries, clubs, bring our guys who are the interpreters and support personnel, and so we can have meet and greets, so people can meet the Afghans that helped us and really fought terrorism their whole lives. And we love to do these kind of meet and greets. I think it's really positive for the community, for all of us in Western New York. And if anyone wants to reach out to me through our website at keepingourpromise.org, we are right there to do meet and greets and get everyone to meet each other and build a stronger community and America.
Yeah, no, it's great. So again, keepingourpromise.org is your website. And yeah, these are folks they've really fought for liberty. They put their life on the line for liberty. And that's an incredible brave thing that luckily most of us here in the United States haven't had to do in that same way. Yeah.
And a very quick story too on how much we need to appreciate our system. I took a guy to DMV and the line was out the door. It was 2:30 in the afternoon, and I said, forget it. We're not waiting in this long line. I hate DMV. And he just begged me, no, ma'am, please, let's stay. We got in, we got our number, we sat on the bench. I'm complaining, and he goes, this is a wonderful thing. This is wonderful. He said, here we are all equal. You get your number, you wait your turn, you don't have to pay bribes to anybody, and we are all equal. And let me tell you what, that put it all in perspective.
Wow. No, that's an interesting thing. So thanks again, Ellen Smith, from Keeping Our Promise. And again, Keeping Our Promise Incorporated. Thank you, Ellen Smith. We'll be back with more from A Free Solution tomorrow. This is Tim, and I'll be back on Friday. Have a wonderful day, folks.